Actually, to answer the question from Kate before, I do feel like that from time to time. I do think that everyone else has it together except me. And I come up with another personal story of one of my first working experience where I struggled hard. It was a time where I still was a student at this university. So I was a working student and working as a front-end developer. And I got a new job. I was excited, a little bit nervous, but also excited. And in the beginning, it was all okay. I did some minor tasks. I was working on a real project. Everything was fine. But I realized that it didn't really fit perfectly. There were situations where I spoke up for something, and you really don't have to share my opinion, that's okay. But you know the feeling when the reaction is like a wall, like, I don't get it, I don't see a problem there, and this reaction makes you feel helpless and disarms you, because you can't answer anything to this anymore. And you try to tell the people that you have a problem there. And it really felt like it was me against everyone else. And I felt really alone. And afterwards, after the situation, a colleague came to me and gave me a little sympathy. But at this situation, I was there and no one had my back. At some point, I had my first major task, which was an internal project. I was doing a salary calculator, and I finished it, I accomplished it, so I was really proud. I was a beginner, and it was new technologies, new languages, and yeah, you could really use this thing, the salary calculator. And I had to present it at a team meeting, so me really proud presenting it, and the reaction was like, yeah, that's fine, but I would have expected it to be like this, and why didn't you put in this and that? And it was really discouraging. Okay, you have to deal with criticism, I know, in your work life, actually in your whole life. So I thought, as the wise Taylor Swift once said, shake it off. So I tried. Let's have a moment for this mesmerizing dog. Yeah, but it got worse. We had this fun little thing called karma points, which is kind of a high score for, let's say, the most popular or the best employee. And you could get karma points for everything. There wasn't a rule attached. So for, I don't know, making the dishes or bringing something to work, just being an awesome employee and finishing your task, whatever. And it was a plugin in our chat system, so everyone could give each other a karma point. And it shows up for everyone, so you notice when the karma points are increased. And you can always take a look at the high score. And I was the new one in the company, so I was clearly last on the list, but it didn't really bother me. I didn't care about the whole karma point thing. But it changed at that point where another working student came to the company, and he ended up with having, I think, triple of the karma points I had, where I was there for 6 months longer. And then this silly karma point thing really pissed me off. I do think that we both did a good job, but the difference was that he got praised for it and I didn't. And I made one try to explain how this makes me feel. I talked with one colleague about that, which was really hard for me. But the reaction was, you're too sensitive about it, it's just a joke. but it's actually not funny anymore when you're last on the list. At least it wasn't for me. It left me, felt really disappointed and sad and frustrated, also angry, and also a little bit desperate, because I really didn't want to go there anymore. There were a lot of situations where I was on my way to work and I did cry in the train because I really didn't want to see the people and I really didn't want to go there. At the very end, I had a one-on-one with my supervisor. You could clearly see that I was unhappy in my job. So it was a good thing that he asked for the discussion. But I didn't have the trust in him or in the company to open up and to explain what my feelings or what my pain points are. The base just wasn't there. And but I did this one thing. I said this one thing, which is maybe a more professional thing, that I really feel left alone with the work I have to do, with the tickets I'm working on, and I need more support. And surprisingly, the whole conversation totally switched around because he then wanted to discuss the question of guilt and wanted me, or he blamed me for that situation. He said that it was my fault that it is like that. Maybe on a side note, I did said that I need help and support in the stand-up, but yeah. And it wasn't not only one of these one-on-ones, we had two of them because he wanted to come back to the topic and wanted me to admit that I'm guilty. As you can imagine, I'm not working there anymore. I planned to leave, I wanted to leave, but unfortunately they were faster and I got fired. But I found something better. I do have a job now where I feel good and in a company where I think I fit in. And I actually gave this talk one time before at a meetup, and I invited my current boss to the meeting and to the talk. And afterwards, she came to me and she thanked me for sharing that with her. So this really proves me that I have the needed trust in a company and in my colleagues. And what I want to tell you is that that's too fast. That if you are at some point in your life in a place which just isn't good for you or which makes you sick eventually, then you should leave. It's not a failure, it's okay. This comes back to the talk from Kate from before. I think it's important to share these kind of stories because not everyone else has it together. We're all the same and you're not alone. Yeah, thank you.